guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. The reason I'm dressed like this is because I'm going to be talking about Euphoria. My opinions about Euphoria. The writer is kind of an asshole. He had this whole drama with Petra Collins. He worked on the show with her, hired her, and then fired her and released the show without crediting her for her ideas. So ever since then I don't fuck with him. Also, the idol is trash. If you know, you know. Today's video is going to be like me recasting, rewriting Euphoria if all the characters were black. I know that Rue and her mom and her sister are black, but I did recast them and McKay, and I did it because I felt like it, no other reason. And also, just in general, what made me come up with this idea was the fact that there was only them as black characters. You got like crumbs of like diversity with like Maddie being Hispanic, but I just came up with this idea. I thought it would be fun. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Okay, first we have Rue. My version of Rue is going to be played by Zoe Kravitz. I really liked her character in The Road Within. She did a really good job with that. She played a character with an eating disorder, and it really gave damaged girl instead of just like pretty damaged girl like her previous show High Fidelity. So in my version of Euphoria, Rue's backstory is going to be her mom was a drug addict when she was a kid, and her dad died when she was 14, and that just led her to be a little bit more dependent on drugs. She lives with her mom and her younger sister, but she also has two other siblings that I will talk about because they are going to be important characters. In my version, she still is going to have a thing with Jules, but I don't know if I would want them to be like so head over heels into each other immediately when the show starts. I kind of the friendship vibe, and then it kind of develops into more. So I think I would just have it be maybe a crush that Rue has. I don't know if I would let it be anything more like the show did, because that just seems a little bit messy. So Jules' character, I would have Selena Belair play it. So Selena is a famous TikTok star. She was in a little bit of controversy, if you know, very demure, very cutesy trend. She tried to claim that she started it. I personally don't think she did, but we're gonna move on from that. In my version, she grew up with her mom who abused drugs and alcohol, and she meets Rue, kind of reflecting her relationship with her mom where she's trying to take care of her. She also still gets into the drama with Cal and Nate. Back to her being played by Selena Belair, I really feel like there's not a lot of black trans girls as actresses, and especially not the young ones, so I just think Selena would be really good playing Jules. I feel like they both serve the same amount of Blair and cunty at the same time. Next character is going to be Maddie. She's going to be played by Ryan Destiny. I know her from the show Star and the show Grownish. In both shows, she kind of was like a nicer girl, but she also had a cunty side. She could play Maddie really well. She needs to be a little bit more colder though. I feel like she's a little bit warm in those shows, and she is trying to be nice to everybody. I feel like Maddie, in my version, should just be nice, but not like a people's ass and people pleaser. So that was her characters in the previous shows were kind of giving people pleaser just a little bit, but that wasn't really a known characteristic. I just kind of noticed that. So Maddie in my version will be a dark-skinned, beautiful black queen. She will have straight hair. If she had Afro texture hair, I feel like her attitude would be a little bit different. Her power would come from a different place, but Maddie is known for using her beauty as power, and most people don't find horsey hair beautiful. So I can see her trying to adhere to beauty standards and have the straight hair, but she's also embracing like skin, and she's not really ashamed of the fact that she's dark skinned. So she is a trendsetter. She's confident, unlike her bestie Cassie. She's also dating Nate in my version too, and it's an abusive relationship. Unlike Euphoria, it wasn't just a moment of abuse, and then all the other times it was like, oh, he loves me, whatever. I want it to be a manipulation type of thing, and hitting, and they keep it a secret the whole time, and not just one moment, one event. It should be already out the gate abuser. I want Nate to be painted as a bad person. But yeah, we're gonna get to Nate actually. But the next character is gonna be Cassie. Cassie is going to be played by Yara Shahidi, the queen from Grownish. I actually could not stand her character though. I'm not gonna lie, she gave like pick me light skin vibes. And she was kind of like fucking stupid in the show, but just a little bit. But her character is going to be raised by a music producer dad with a little bit of a drug habit, but he was abstinent. So she kind of doesn't have like full-fledged stability, and it messes with her like self-worth. Cassie, like the original Euphoria, is gonna struggle with self-esteem, and it creates problems with her relationships. I think it would be a crazy plot line for her to do Maddie dirty like she did in the original. So I could see that happening with Yara Shahidi playing the character and trying to act innocent. I could definitely see that. In my version of this, Cassie is still dating McKay, but they're dating. They're not like, oh, he's a college student. And I'll get to McKay.
Oh, I'm such a whore, but I'm not your hoe. I got niggas on niggas that don't give a fuck about making shit rock.
So my next character is Kat. She is going to be played by a TikTok girly named Beverly. When I thought of this idea, it was like her. Kat, in my version, will have the same storyline, but a little bit different. She's not going to go through this transformation of no style to style because of the sex tape. It's gonna be, she was bullied in middle school for being fat, and she was dating this boy, and he was bullied for being in the plays and stuff. They kind of bonded off of that. They reconnect. A sex tape gets released of her with another guy that she used to date in middle school and reconnected with is Ethan, and I'll talk about his character later. She's gonna have a transformation of doing the cam girl vibes. She's gonna be like a dominatrix, like real in the paint type shit, like no recording. All the sex tape being released is gonna do is make her be a dominatrix, and it is gonna be a little bit behind Ethan's back, but that's just more drama for the show, to be honest. My next character is gonna be Lexi. She's gonna be played by Iowa Debris. I actually fucking love Iowa Debris. She's my favorite actress right now, comedy actress. I don't even know, I think she is my favorite actress right now, actually. So the original Lexi was kind of boring to me in the first season. I could not stand how boring she was. Clothes was boring, personality boring, everything boring. And I get your sister's Cassie, so it's a contrast, but like, you know, be your own person. So Lexi in my version has a different dad from Cassie. Lexi is a full-fledged person, not just Cassie's shadow. Lexi is gonna be misunderstood, but she's still gonna have her own vibe. She's not just gonna be like, overlooked. She is gonna be presence. I feel like Io could rock that. I like the idea of her being like a playwright or being in plays. They explored that in season 2 of Euphoria. I think whole seasons, every season, she should just be working on something. I think that would give her something fun to do, and she will actually have a personality, and she could be a breath of fresh air from like all the crazy shit happening. She's the one that has a little bit of sense. My next character is gonna be Gia. Gia is Ruth's sister, and she's gonna be played by Taylor Russell. I feel like Taylor Russell gives such little sister vibes, especially from the movie Waves. I feel like she gives sad girl vibes in most of her movies, so we're making her sad in this. She's not gonna have any friends that are in this cast list, so it's kind of more of an irrelevant character, just like the original Gia, that she didn't really have a backstory. I'm like, why give her a backstory right now? I feel like she fits really good as a sad girl. So she's gonna be one of Rue's mom's kids that actually didn't see her mom have an addiction. She saw her mom sober, but the trauma comes from her dad dying when she was little. She doesn't abuse drugs like Rue. She does smoke weed in my version, but she doesn't abuse drugs. She's just very chill and sad a little bit. So my next character is gonna be Fesco. Fesco is not gonna be a boy in this version. Fesco is gonna be played by Slickwoods. Slickwoods, I know her as a model, and I've seen her in a little bit of Grownish. I feel like from what I saw, I only saw maybe a few episodes because I wasn't really fucking with the latest seasons, but from what I saw, she gives like a sitcom version of Fez, and I feel like it could work. She could have a little thing with Lexi, and it could be cute. So let me explain her backstory. She's the oldest of the kids. She is Rue's sister and Gia's sister, and she was kicked out after her mom finding a gun and a stack of money in her closet. And she now lives in a trap house with her younger brother that I will talk about. She's very chill, she's kind, and she will do anything to help the people that she loves. And she does not have a good relationship with her mother because of her kicking her out, and she feels like a slap in the face after her mom being an addict and witnessing that. But it's like, oh, you have a high horse now and you're gonna kick me out because you found the gun and the money, which you shouldn't bring that into your parents' home, but at the same time, you know. my next character is gonna be Fez's sidekick, Ashtray. He's gonna be played by Michael Epps. I know him from The Shy. He plays, I forgot his name in the show, but he plays like this little sidekick to his brother in the first few seasons, and he's in that little friend group. So I think he could really play this well, but he has to close his mouth. In The Shy, he talked a lot, and that was honestly his downfall a little bit. But in Euphoria, I want him to be quiet like his original actor was quiet. I like the idea of him having anger issues, but like he's still quiet. So he's gonna be the youngest of the siblings. So we have Rue, Gia, Fesco, and Ashtray. They are all siblings in my version. And I feel like that just makes more sense. I don't know. It seems a little bit more realistic, and I'll talk about their mom's character and why I feel like that. Okay, so my next character is going to be Nate. He is going to be played by Kelvin Harris Jr. He was in the movie Waves with Alexa Demi, and I feel like he really ate that movie up. He played a really good like villain. His first part of the movie definitely gave like pressure from his dad to do sports, and he had an injury, everything. So I think that could be translated to Euphoria's plot. And he definitely is still gonna have that whole arc with his dad. He saw his dad's sex tapes when he was younger. It kind of like fucked up his whole mental. He's queer throughout the show and has the drama still with Jules. And he's dating Maddie and is abusive to her throughout the show and manipulates her, but like to other people it's a perfect relationship. People don't see it as toxic at all. They don't see the abuse. Throughout the show, I am gonna have him be like the worst villain other than his dad in the show, because I feel like him and his dad are one and the same, and I'll talk more about his dad later. But yeah, he's definitely gonna be the main cause of drama, or one of them, throughout my version of the show. I feel like I like the idea of him dating Maddie because she gives off this hyper feminine vibe. I like how they explain that in the show, so I want to keep that, and I want that to be the reason why he chose her to date. And he secretly is queer and really likes Jules. I like that plot line, so we're gonna keep that. Literally the whole plot we're gonna keep, but the actor that plays his character is just gonna be the black guy from Waves, and I think he could do a really good job with that. So my next character is gonna be McKay. McKay is going to be played by Daniel Ezra. Daniel Ezra is from All American. I feel like McKay's character in the original show was very boring. His plotline was boring. So he's not going to be like a freshman in college. He's still going to be in high school. He's going to be Nate's bestie. I feel like they would get along really well. And they did get along really well in the original show, but they weren't like besties. They just were like acquaintances. But I feel like them being besties works for me. So McKay's backstory is going to be his mom and his dad pressures him to really go for football and try to get some scholarships for college. So he was a sophomore when this happened. His mom caught him smoking weed, and she sent him to rehab, and he passed by Rue there. They weren't friends in there, they just passed by each other. I just think that would be something funny to include as a backstory. And he doesn't have any issues with drugs, really. He just was smoking weed like that one time, and his mom caught him. And I think that adds something interesting. And his character is going to be a little chill and funny vibe, because that whole situation is funny, so why not make him just funny? His character in All American was super serious, and I got bored of it. Like, he was very serious about letting out the hood, but like, we're not in the hood, baby. Euphoria is very bougie in the suburbs, so especially the mom pressuring him, that's suburbs vibes, because usually if you're in the hood, you're not being pressured by your parents. They don't really give a fuck about what you do, so. I said I was done, but bitch, I'm back. Dead niggas up in that pack. So my next character is gonna be Ethan. He's gonna be played by Leon Thomas. I didn't want him to be like nerdy vibe. I wanted him to just be his own person. And he is gonna be Kat's love interest. So Ethan was bullied in middle school, and he was resilient towards it. He was dating Kat, and they fell out because they went to a different high school, but they caught back up, and now they are talking, dating-ish, and they get along really well because they have similar backgrounds. and he is gonna try to befriend Nate and McKay, but they don't accept him at first, but he wins them over because he is a cool person. But sometimes people are adverse to that. They don't really like things that are different. Definitely Nate's character, I feel like, is the main one to be like, you know. So my next character is going to be Leslie. Leslie is going to be played by Naomi Harris. Naomi played really good as a crackhead mother in the movie Moonlight. I think she could do really good as a more put together style-wise, but actually character-wise, kind of her being all over the place a little bit, like mentally unstable. That's going to be her vibe. Leslie is going to be Rue and all her other siblings' moms. She is going to be a recovering drug addict. Her backstory is she was raising Rue and Fesco and was really struggling with drugs, like really could not get it together, almost lost custody of them. And she kind of just got it together and has been sober on and off, but sober ever since she had Gia. And Gia and Ashtray know her to be as sober. So she kicks Fesco out. Ashtray feels like he's closer to Fesco than he is to Gia, Rue, and his mom. So yeah, she's really attached to Gia, and Rue is not that close with her mom. So Gia's not that close with Rue, and Leslie is just really close in general to Gia. Like Leslie, I will say, is in my version, she's not gonna be that good of a parent. Like she's gonna kind of be all over the place a little bit. She's gonna be sober, but she's gonna be a little bit all over the place. Contradicting herself with kicking Fesco out for the gun and the money, like I said before, but not really owning up to who showed her that life of not living morally and not living legally, you know? So that's what you put into their brain when they were young. You can't control what they do with that information and how they choose to survive in the world. So my next character is going to be Cal. Cal is going to be played by Rick Fox. Rick Fox is from the show The Game on BET. I don't know if y'all really know that. Like, I feel like that's deep in my memory from when I was a kid. I should not have been watching that show. But when I was thinking who should play Cal, I immediately thought of Rick Fox for some reason. Cal is that type of character. Silver stud who looks like he can do no wrong, but he's really the one who does the most damage in the show, to be honest. And yeah, he kind of gives like an evil look in his eyes. I can see him like doing the shit that he does. In my version, he still is gonna be undercover, fucking the guys, but still married to his wife and has Nate as a child. Nate doesn't have any siblings. Cal doesn't have any other kids. Nate's just gonna be an only child because I feel like who cares about his siblings, man? So my next character is gonna be Suze. Suze is gonna be Cassie and Lexi's mom. So Suze is going to be played by DeWanda Wise. I was inspired by her character from She's Gotta Have It. She first had Cassie with a music producer when she was trying to be a singer, and she dropped out of college, and her having Cassie kind of ruined her career. So after her music career kind of flopped, she went back to school and enrolled in a music theory class, and her professor is now going to be her love interest. Years later, after she graduated college, they had a baby together, and the baby's going to be Lexi. Lexi is going to be smart and beautiful and polar opposite to Cassie, and you could tell like that the dad kind of inflicted that in her, and I'll talk more about that. So my next character is going to be Lexi's dad. Lexi's dad is going to be played by Lyric Bent. Lyric Bent is one of the male love interests from She's Gotta Have It, and he always looks serious in his shows that I watch or his movies that I watch. So his character is going to be just kind of smoothing out Suze's like past relationships, because her past baby daddy gave her like chaos, but also like it kind of matched her vibe at the time. Like he's going to be the stability for her. So Cassie's dad is going to be played by Cleo Anthony. He was also a love interest from She's Gotta Have It. He is going to play a music producer, cokehead, not going to be that active in the show, and not an active father in general. In She's Gotta Have It, he was giving total cokehead, full of himself energy. So that energy in Cassie being his daughter, I think that matches. Like, just inflicting the value of visuals and what you look like, what you can provide on surface level is what's gonna get you through life, opposed to Lexi's dad, like intellectuals will provide you with all you need in life. So yeah, thank you guys for watching all the way through. If you fuck with the video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any thoughts about who I put for each character or their background and their storyline, put a comment and we could talk about it. Or if you want to talk shit about my choices, you're free to do that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed and see you in the next one.